Well, good Monday morning, everybody. It is August 23rd, and yes, I am in fact back from vacation. And before I even get started with today's devotion, I do want to thank Clint very much for filling in while I was gone. He did a great job, and I appreciate his efforts, and I hope all of you let him know that you appreciated him filling in as well. So please do let him know that. We are going to start 2nd Thessalonians today. We finished before I left 1st Thessalonians, and now today we're going to jump into chapter 1 of 1st Thessalonians, or 2nd rather. I'm going to probably say that wrong several times. 2nd Thessalonians. We're just going to look at the first 4 verses. Now, 1st Thessalonians is, of course, as we mentioned at the beginning of that study, believed by generally almost everyone to have been the earliest letter penned by Paul that we have in the canon. And it is counted among those books that are widely accepted as being Paul's writings. You have the uncontested books, basically, or largely uncontested. There's somebody that will argue about everything, but the largely uncontested books, and you've got the highly contested books, and you've got the books kind of in the middle that are sometimes contested and sometimes where people come down on both sides of the spectrum. And there's 3 books there in the middle. You've got 3 books off to the side that are generally, the pastorals. Most scholars don't accept the pastorals as being Paul's writing. They are pseudonymous writings, someone writing in the name of Paul. And but the only scholar I know that really supports, that I respect, that really supports the pastorals as being Pauline is N.T. Wright. Don't agree with N.T. Wright on everything, but I do like N.T. Wright. I do like his writings, and I do find a great deal of, I respect him as a scholar. But he is one that accepts all of Pauline's letters as being, or all of the canon of Paul's letters as being actually by Paul's hand. Now, there's 3 letters that fall down in the middle, with the in-between letters, and you have Ephesians and Colossians and 2nd Thessalonians. Probably roughly it's about a 50-50 split of people that argue one way back and forth on 2nd Thess. And there's different ideas about that, even among the people that accept it as being Paul's writings. There are some that believe that Paul wrote 2nd Thessalonians first. That it's actually, because the canon is not divided up on chronological date. The Paul letters are not organized by date. They're more organized by size, and length, with the exception of first, 2nd Thess and 1st and 2nd Corinthians. They follow each other, but largely it's by length. And 2nd Thessalonians is shorter than 1st Thessalonians. There are those that hold that it's actually the first. 2nd is first and 1st is 2nd. I don't know about that. But there are some issues with 1st Thessalonians or 2nd Thessalonians following 1st Thess, because the eschatology is considerably, the end times is considerably different in the 2. We'll talk about it as we go through it, and we'll compare and contrast those as we come to them. We'll be starting that tomorrow. So I've got some to get ready for that. But there's different things. The writing style is a little different. It's the same 3 authors. Now, I switched back to the NRSV. So here Silas is pronounced Silvanus. It's Silas. Same 3 authors. Some believe that Silas wrote one or the other of the 2 letters, and that Paul wrote the other. Some believe that they all 3 wrote both letters and contributed to the writing of the letters. Some believe that Paul wrote both of them. Some believe that Paul wrote just one, and the other one was written after Paul's death, which we'll never know for sure, I don't believe. But there are some issues with the theology and the eschatology in the 2 letters, and we'll see what we think about that as we go through it. So with that, I'm just going to jump into the first 4 verses, the salutation and the thanksgiving part of the letter, and then we'll jump into the meat of the matter tomorrow and we'll go from that. So, but before I do start, I do want to thank you for giving me some time off. I really enjoyed the trip. We went on the La Crosse riverboat ride, the La Crosse Queen, and that's the shirt I'm wearing today, along with my SDSU hat. So let's jump into 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, verses 1 to 4. Paul, Silvanus, and Timothy, to the church of the Thessalonians, in God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. Grace to you and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. We must always give thanks to God for you, brothers and sisters, as is right, because your faith is growing abundantly, and the love of every one of you for one another is increasing. Therefore we ourselves boast of you among the churches of God, for your steadfastness and faith during all your persecutions and afflictions that you are enduring. That sounds very similar to 1 Thess. 1st or 2nd Thessalonians has a lot of similarities. A lot of the things are the same, are very similar to them. But there is some verbiage and some grammatical structure that's different. But here he's just, again, they or he are offering up again that reassurance and that congratulations and that confirmation to them. So before we get into the meat of the matter, he's leading in with a little bit of a softness, as we say. It's the greeting, it's the salutation, and not jumping right into dealing with deep theological matters or anything like that. He's just letting them know that they do love them, and the love of everyone for one another, how much he admired them, that they are loving each other in spite of all their enduring. We could look at this and contemplate and wonder the contrast of the church in Afghanistan today with what's going on in Thessalonica and many of the other churches in those days. I don't think the persecution, if at least at this point in time for Paul, probably not as violent as the persecution we have in Afghanistan right now. It has been said that Afghanistan is second only to North Korea for danger for a Christian believer, and it's perhaps quickly outstripping North Korea for that role. It's a dangerous time to be a Christian in Afghanistan. But one of the interesting things that I was reading this morning, actually, Afghanistan is one of the places where Christianity has been growing over the last couple decades, has been growing at a faster percentage rate, because it was largely not there. Very little Christianity prior to the occupation. But there are, upwards of 8,000 Christians there, and the numbers were growing quickly. So it was right up there with Iran for the speed of growth. So that's always interesting. We see growth when we're seeing persecution. Why is that? Why is it that we take our religion so for granted when we're safe, and seem to be it's more valued when we're persecuted for it? That's an interesting concept of the human mind and human faith in God. So I'm going to let it go with that for today. We're going to dive into the meat of the matter of 2 Thess tomorrow. We'll get started on dealing with some of the thorny issues that we have to deal with. But before I go, I do continue to be in prayer for the church in Afghanistan and around the world, but specifically for the Afghans. And we did take an offering for a group called the Nazarene Fund yesterday, and we thank you, those that donated. I know I've got at least one person coming today to give some money for that fund too, so I'll have to let Terry know about that. But that group is helping get Christians out of Afghanistan, and so if you'd like to donate to that, call the office today and let us know, and we'll talk to you about it and tell you what we can do. So with that, I'm going to let you go. Have a very, very blessed day, and we'll see you tomorrow, and be a blessing to someone today. Almost forgot that part. Been too long. Take care. God bless.